Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. Now, normally, once again, I do not do this program by myself, but once again, as we talked about last week, Mike is going to be out of town. He's going to be kind of tied up, busy. He's not going to be able to join us. Maybe he'll be hit and miss for the rest of this week, but I promise you, he will be here for what is upcoming to be our 500th episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a great time. So encourage you guys to make sure to tune in for that. But hey, you know what? While we're here, why don't we talk about the news of the day? Because trust me, there's tons of stuff going on. And, it's funny because I had a lot of stories from the weekend, but then all of a sudden things just started popping out of the sky today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about. But before we get into it, obviously we've got to start off with, the most important news, and that is a shout out to our sponsors. We'll start with Hitman Industries. If you're looking to build an AR, if you're looking to do a new build, or maybe you're looking to rebarrel your old rifle, Hitman Industries is the place to go. Just go to hitmanindustries.net. They have rifle and pistol length barrels available for you. Check them out. Spend some money with them. Though we also have the California Republican Assembly. Just had their annual conference over the weekend. Had a great time there. If you want to see some videos from the weekend, they had some phenomenal speakers. We'll be posting them over the next couple of weeks, some of the speakers. But just go to cragop.org. Check them out. It is the largest and fastest growing conservative grassroots organization in the state of California. You want to be a part of California's future today? Join the California Republican Assembly. Then we have Hog Holsters. If you're looking for an inside the waistband, outside the waistband, tactical or concealed carry holster, Hog Holsters is the place to go. Just go to hogholsters.com and make sure you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, and get your Hog Holster today. Finally, if you're looking for outdoor gear, tactical gear, hunting gear, cold weather gear, warm weather gear, whatever you're looking for in terms of being comfortable in the environment, the place to go is uscombatgear.com. It's veteran owned and operated. They have great prices, quality products. They operate in integrity and have fast shipping. So check them out, uscombatgear.com. All right, if you've been following the news, it's no mystery or no secret that Joe Biden is going to be running for president. We know because he told a weatherman. But now some interesting things are about to go down because he's about to officially announce that he is going to be running for his second term. There are a few announcements that are less of a secret than this one is. But I got to tell you, the interesting thing about this is it's raising some very, very serious questions. Many people on the right and the left are raising questions about whether or not she should be actually running. Now, you might recall, because we've talked about this, that 73% of voters polled said that they did not want him to run again. That's all voters. That's not just Republicans. That's Democrats as well. In fact, 3/4 of Democrats under the age of 30, or basically young Democrats, don't want him to run again. And I was asked a question by a reporter earlier today in prep for a story they're doing tomorrow on his announcement. Do you think that coming out against him because of his age is ageism? And I said, it's not about his age. It's about his cognitive decline. Clearly, he is suffering from cognitive decline. So much so that many, even in the mainstream media, the left-wing media, recognize it and are acknowledging it. And here's the thing. I don't care how old you are to do the presidency, but when your age clearly affects your cognitive abilities, your ability to be able to speak, your ability to be able to make rational decisions, your ability to be able to do public appearances. I mean, think about this. He has done fewer press conferences and interviews than any president in the modern era. Now, that's primarily because his staff, the people around him, are worried about what he's going to say. They're worried he's going to have a Batacata-Kefker moment. Or he's going to come out and say, my butt's been wiped. Now, Karine Jean-Pierre, KJP, his press secretary, bragged about the fact that he answers more questions that are yelled out at him than other presidents do. Well, that's because that's the only time they can't control him. When he's walking to his helicopter or walking to his car, that's the one time they're like, oh my God, can he make it without turning around and talking? It's the one time they can't stop him. And generally, when he does do that, he says something, well, that is embarrassing. And here's the thing, folks. I've laughed at the falling up the stairs, and I've laughed at the my butt's been wiped, and the let's lick the world. All of those, yes, are humorous. But here's the thing. This is the leader of the free world. This is our leader. Our allies and our enemies alike are watching this, and they are realizing how weak our leadership is. And let me tell you, and I get the people who are concerned about ageism and all of that. Let me tell you folks something. China don't care. Russia does not care. Our enemies do not care. They see it as a sign of weakness, and they will seek to exploit it. They will seek to exploit Joe Biden. Right? This is what encouraged Putin to go into Ukraine. This is what is encouraging Xi to be so aggressive when it comes to Taiwan. Because they didn't do this stuff with Donald Trump because they knew, F around and find out. That's what they knew with Donald Trump. But with Joe Biden, not so much. He's senile. If they do it during the right time, they might catch him sometime after he gets his afternoon tapioca, but before he takes his afternoon nap, right? Which probably isn't his best time. But that's the thing that we're dealing with here, folks. And I got to tell you, the worst part about this whole thing is Democrats really don't have a better alternative. I mean, who do they got? Let's see. You've got Kamala Harris, the one Democrat politician that is less popular, that is less liked than Joe Biden, right? Nobody believes that Kamala Harris can do the job, right? At least Joe Biden might from time to time have moments of clarity. Yeah, Kamala Harris there is absolutely positively no way she is up for doing the job. But then who? Think about this. Your next option is Gavin Newsom? Y'all have seen what he's done in California. Even red state Democrats are telling Gavin Newsom, yeah, don't come here with that stuff. Do not come here. You don't know what you're talking about. Stay away. I'm telling you, they really, the problem is they don't really have another option. And that is what's scaring Democrats right now. And all this is right now is one of two things. It's either Democrats are allowing this to be a placeholder until they can figure out what to do and who else to put in that race, or quite frankly, this is simply a matter of no one has the courage to tell the president that he shouldn't run. They just don't have the guts to tell him, and that is a sad state. That's a sad state to be in, because he's not going to be able to run the same playbook that he ran last time. So in 2000. Because of COVID, in 2020, because of COVID, he didn't have to be out in the public, right? They could hide him in a basement. They could do Zoom calls and Zoom meetings, and they could do the social distancing thing. He didn't have to answer questions. Well, guess what? Even Gavin Newsom has said that the COVID emergency is over. So he's got no excuse. So now he's got to do the job of president, and he's got to campaign. Now, we already saw that he was incapable of campaigning. We now see he is incapable of doing the job as president. Now he's got to do both. And I just don't see how that is going to happen. Now, the other thing that he's not going to have, he's not going to be able to hide behind, he's not going to be able to hide behind, the quote unquote, the, what do they call them? The intelligence experts. Now, I don't know if you guys have been watching, but former CIA director Mike Morrell actually has confessed that when everything started to come out about the Hunter Biden laptop story, it was portrayed at the time when that this is Russian disinformation, and Mike Morrell got together a group of 50 plus quote unquote intelligence officials, right, experts, to say that this had all the telltale signs of Russian disinformation. And Joe Biden and the Biden campaign acted as if this was something that just generally folks just, got together and said, this is something that we need to do. Well, now he has now testified and he has admitted that he did this at the request of the Biden campaign because he wanted Biden to get elected. So now we know that they're now playing that basically and by the way, and then he would eventually wind up getting an appointment. Just go with that. Foy says once again, former CIA director. Anyway, he wound up. This was a political ploy that was pawned off. And you remember in that debate when he was like, I've got the letter from 51 intelligence officials who have said that this is nothing but a scam. This is nothing but Russian disinformation. But now, we know that it wasn't a scam because now multiple sources, at the time, multiple sources had noted that it was not a scam. But, it's not really official, I guess, until the mainstream media, the liberals, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the like come out and say at CBS, yeah, it's real. So now we know that it's real and the content on it is real, he's not going to be able to hide behind these intelligence officials, especially as more information starts to come out about what is on the laptop. Now, those of you who pay attention to this show will pay attention to other alternative. When I say alternative, I mean non-mainstream media. I mean Fox News. I mean OAN or Newsmax or any of the other, programs that are telling you the truth about the laptop. You know that there's some nasty stuff on there that's about to come out. And by the way, these intelligence folks who did this, they knew it was on there as well. And they lied. And they had Joe Biden lie. And by the way, this is the biggest story right now, especially with him about to announce. This is a story that nobody in the mainstream media is reporting on. This report right here is from the Washington Free Beacon, but nobody else is reporting on this. And the fact that there's an IRS agent who's trying to get whistleblower protections in order to talk about a lot of this stuff and how they're slow walking the investigations. This is something that is going to blow up in the president's face. He would do better to probably not run if he wants to give the Democrats an opportunity to win. But we know once again, no one has the courage to tell him that he should not run. So he'll run, and all of this will be put out there. And as I told the reporter, she asked me, is there anything else that you want to say? And I said, well, I'll just say this. Joe Biden was not prepared physically or mentally to run to be president when he ran in 2020, and the mainstream media covered for him. There were secrets and information that were available that came out that, had it been known, could have affected the outcome of that election, and the mainstream media covered for him. Now you see his deficiencies. The whole world sees his current deficiencies. The whole world now knows that laptop is real, and many of us know that there is damaging information to the president on that laptop. My only thing is that I hope that the mainstream media this time does their job, but I'm not holding out any hope. That's how little faith I have in the mainstream media. All right, moving right along, we've got, this was a good one. So the Squad, and you guys may remember the Squad. These are the group of progressive, and I feel comfortable calling them progressives because even though it doesn't necessarily fit what they are, because they're not really progressive, they're more regressive. But the progressives, very much fitting the progressive movement in the early 1900s, they're all about pushing communism, socialism, and tearing down our governmental systems, creating more government control in order to tell you what to think. Yeah, that Squad. Well, while they are pushing to defund the police, while they are pushing to disarm law-abiding citizens, being able to protect themselves. Now, keep in mind, crime is going through the roof. They're in many of these blue cities, they've defunded the police. In many of these blue states, they've defunded the police. Well, now they're trying to refund them, but they're having a hard time hiring law enforcement back. So people are now being victimized. There are more crimes and more criminals. Well, at the same time that they are making victims of their constituents, they have spent more than $1 million on private security. That's right. The squad has spent more than $1 million on private security over the last couple of years. And folks, this is beyond ridiculous. Because here's the thing. What they're acknowledging is that there's a public safety issue. Now, they believe that they specifically are not safe. But the truth is, they're no more likely to be a victim of crime than are the rest of us. The problem is that rather than doing what they're trying to do to us, make sure that law enforcement that there isn't law enforcement available to protect us, or that law enforcement that is in existence, that is available to protect us, has both hands tied behind their back. They are expanding the number of people and the number of firearms that are going to be around them to protect themselves. Because, hey, they're important people. See, they're part of the proletariat, right? They are the talented few, the experts who need to be protected so that they can lord over the rest of us. I'm like this. I think it is a coward who will ask someone to put their life on the line, to stand between them and someone else when they are not willing to do it for themselves. My first rule is that I am my own first responder, first and foremost. Therefore, I have a responsibility to do the things necessary to put myself in a position to be able to be that first responder. It means, I've learned first aid in case someone around me needs first aid. We have fire extinguishers, right? And by the way, we have firearms in order to be able to protect and defend ourselves. And these folks, these ladies, would rather us not have that ability. Rather we not be in a position to be able to defend ourselves. It is actually quite sickening and bothers the crap out of me, to be quite frank with you. But once again, they don't care. They do not care about the hypocrisy of what they say or what they do. Matter of fact, here, let me read this for you. It says here, you would rather me die? Is that what you want to see? You want to see me die, because that could be the alternative, Representative Cori Bush said in 2021 when pressed by a reporter about her private security budget. Just moments earlier, Bush told a reporter defunding the police has to happen. So in other words, it matters if she could potentially be killed. It does not matter if the rest of us could potentially be killed because we don't matter. Once again, this person wants to not just defund the police, but wants to remove our fundamental right to keep and bear arms. So keep the police from protecting us as well as keeping us from protecting ourselves. That is what we are dealing with coming from our Democrat elected officials over there in the squad. And this latest one, this is the latest and greatest breaking news. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News. Don Lemon is out at CNN. That's right. Tucker Carlson. Now, interestingly, so the information that was put out made it sound like this was something that they kind of agreed on, right? That this was something that we have a quote unquote Fox News and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. And a lot of this comes after the Dominion lawsuit. It comes after the release of the videos from January 6th, where Tucker Carlson basically was, for lack of a better term, they see it as he was downplaying what happened on January 6th, acting as if there was no riot, acting as if there was no violence that took place. That's their contention, not mine. In any case, it's funny because it cost them over $780 million. That's what it would in the end wind up costing them. But then it came in the same day. By the way, once again, it was in a statement released from both of them. They made it sound like it was something that they was mutually agreed upon. But Don Lemon, on the other hand, wow, he was like shocked. He found out actually through his agent that he was released by CNN. And I'm sorry, I was surprised they kept him as long as they did. I mean, they already removed him from his primetime spot because no one was watching. They put him on a morning show that no one was watching, and then even fewer people wound up watching. They took his morning show co-host and put her in a premiere spot while still keeping him on the morning show. And then he had his statement about Nikki Haley not being in her prime. And after that, you just saw there was story after story of him just being, for lack of a better term, an obnoxious diva there at CNN. And it shouldn't have come as any surprise. Well, I guess for him it would come as a surprise because, once again, he was a diva. But yeah, it shouldn't come as any surprise to anybody that he was in fact released. Now, let me just say this, and I'll start by saying this. I think in both cases, in one case it was Don Lemon pretended, and I have no idea why that came on so loud. There we go. Okay. Don Lemon purported to be a journalist, and he was not. Tucker Carlson did not pretend to be a journalist. He was an opinion commentator. He was a commentator. He was a political commentator. Now, there were many things that were opinions of his that he purported or spoke to with such authority that one could take it as he was reporting it as fact. There were some things that he reported that, in my opinion, were more satire and snarky than they were him actually purporting it or pushing it. But there were some instances, quite frankly, where he jumped the shark. And I think the big problem here is with him and Fox News is kind of a couple of fold. Number one, him being the most popular person, the most popular show in the most popular time slot. Well, number one, I'll just say this. Bill O'Reilly was number one when he was in that slot. Tucker Carlson became number one when he took over that slot. Whoever winds up taking over that slot permanently is likely going to be number one in that slot for the most long. And that largely has to do with the type of programming there at Fox News. Now, if, as some folks believe, that Fox News is going more liberal, then I would be very interested to see what those numbers look like. But I would question whether or not those numbers will stay the same. I'm going to throw my hat in there. I'm going to throw it out there. I believe one of two folks is going to be filling that spot. You are either going to have Greg Gutfeld, who has an evening show, a late night show, which is number one in its slot, right? But once again, I think that's because it's Fox News. So either you're going to have him move up and move into this prime time slot, or I think you're going to see weekend co-host Will Cain will step into the spot. I enjoyed Will Cain when he did sports over at ESPN, and I enjoy his commentary on politics. He is not the bombastic, hyperbolic individual that Tucker Carlson is. He's actually very reasoned and very well thought out. Some might consider him to be squishy in his commentary, but I think I more like to say he considers the other side. But yeah, he's not going to be as hard hitting, I don't think, as Tucker Carlson was, or he could be. I don't know. We'll see if that's what winds up happening. But now with Don Lemon was, well, let's just be honest. Don Lemon was past his prime. Not that he ever really had a prime. He's been bad for a very long time. And a lot of it, I think, comes down to ego. And I think, for example, the fact that he thought that he didn't see this coming is a demonstration that his ego had gotten out of hand. I think it just got to the point where people were just tired of it. And you know, as he continued to see ratings go down, as he continued to come out and say stupid things and bury himself, and then stories about him saying the very same stupid things from years ago or over time, I think that eventually wound up undermining his ability to have any sort of a following. And CNN they've got a real problem over there. They've got to figure out a way to become more mainstream, more about the news, and less about the commentary. At least if they're going to do the commentary, they got to learn to be a little more balanced. If they want to if you want conservatives to tune in, conservatives have to feel like they have a voice on your station, on your network, and they don't, which is why they don't watch CNN, which is why they don't watch MSNBC. Some liberals do feel like they have somewhat of a voice on Fox, although Fox is not as good at separating out their news and their commentary as they used to be. They used to be very good at it. The commentary was the commentary, the news was the news, and now it bleeds over. It tends to bleed over. But someone is going to get good at that because people want news and they want commentary. And it would really be nice if we could find someone who could provide both and do so in a way that makes people feel like they're getting some quality stuff. Anyway, we hope you're getting quality stuff here at the Rundown. And, that's why we do parting shots. Because at the very least, we believe that you will be entertained. And by the way, our parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. That's hogholsters.com. Go there and get your Hog Holster today. Make sure you use the discount code Rundown, all caps, no spaces. This first one, well, it's kind of simple because it's really the cover of the New York Post. But it is hilarious nonetheless. Spies who lie. And these are images of the many. Now, not all of them, because keep in mind, there were over 50. These were the folks who said these were the intelligence experts who falsely discredited the Hunter Biden laptop and still won't say sorry. They won't admit that they made a mistake. And by the way, these folks are still making comment. These folks are still on CNN. They're still on MSNBC. You're still seeing them on ABC, NBC News, CNBC. They're still out there. Chief among them, James Clapper. You can see a bunch of other folks that are on there. These are the folks who basically lied. And there's no other way to put it. They lied. And they did so at the behest of the Biden campaign. They so did not want Donald Trump that they lied. And we're going to, as Republicans continue to do what they're doing, we're going to see the results of those lies that they're coming out. And the reason why we're going to see that, even now, I'll tell you right now, it's funny because as we tell you, we talk about Donald Trump. We talk about how the media just cannot figure out how to deal with him. They're about to go into overdrive, dealing with Trump derangement syndrome. And that's what this next one is. It's the mainstream media. And they're in a straitjacket in what appears to be a rubber room, with Trump written all around the wall, and they're all on all the walls everywhere. And they're in a straitjacket and they're saying he's crazy because they're accusing Donald Trump of being crazy. Now, Donald Trump is bombastic. Donald Trump is hyperbolic. Donald Trump has absolutely no F's to give. He really doesn't. And he will tear down anybody he thinks is in his way, whether they are actually on his team or not. I will give you all of that. But Donald Trump is not stupid. Donald Trump knows exactly how to push the buttons of the mainstream media. This we know. And he is going out of his way to push the buttons of the mainstream media. And it is hilarious. And then finally, we have this one here. Budweiser Clydesdales get fired. Meet their replacements. And yes, if you are watching it, these are all, it's got the Clydesdales up top. And they were all fired on behalf of the My Little Ponies. Hardy, har. I mean, that's funny, isn't it? Isn't it? You guys like My Little Pony? No? Yes? No? Funny? Comment. Let us know if you think that's funny. I think it's funny, but, hey, that's just me. All right, folks. Well, hey, that's going to be it for today's show. But before we go, let's talk about our sponsors. You've got Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol length barrels available for you at hitmanindustries.com or hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. Be a part of California's future today. Go to cragop.org and then get your hog holster with your discount code, The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. You'll find them at hogholsters.com. And then get your combat gear, outdoor gear, hunting gear, whatever gear you need. Get it at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're once again going to call it a day. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Y'all take care.